Hey guys, it's me, Vinny Lospinuso. I'm back here again. And in a few minutes, like 30 half hour from now, we're going to see the Monday Night Football game between the New York Jets, who will be hosting the Los Angeles Chargers. Both teams feel like they could maybe snatch a wild card spot while we're at the halfway point of the season. I don't know if either of them will, but it could be a possibility. Let's just see for a second. Just holding my just going up to like the schedule. That's all. Okay, I'm pulling it up right now. Presenting. Okay, guys. We're here, the Los Angeles Chargers at the New York Jets. There's the game preview. I have updates in score tracker. Picks and predictions. Let's see what the predictions are from covers.com. So shout out to covers.com if anyone from there is watching this. FanDuel has the Chargers minus the 3 and the Jets plus the 3. PointsBet has Chargers minus 3. It's used 3. It's all saying 3 or 3.5. I think the Chargers are going to win today's game. I know it's in New York, but the Chargers offense I like a lot better, obviously. But the Jets defense is what's going to be most important for this game. The Jets defense and their running game. Zach Wilson is not a great starting quarterback, but by focusing on the running game and the defense, it's put a lot of pressure off of him, and you're seeing him develop, and he gets better as time goes on. Of course, Breece Hall entering his tech, second-year stud, getting back to full health. Indeed, he is. Also, speaking of knee injuries with running backs, I don't know if you saw, but Cam Akers, who the Vikings just got off waivers, tore his ACL. So the Vikings, if they're going to make the playoffs, they're now going to be without their star quarterback as well as one of their running backs. And speaking of quarterbacks, Daniel Jones is now out for the season with a torn ACL. So it's going to be Tommy DeVito time the whole way, unless Matt Barkley also comes in and there's a health issue for DeVito. Okay, so let me just search Tommy DeVito. No, it's the Chargers and the Jets, but yeah, Daniel Jones, talk about a bad contract. I mean, I was questioning real possibility Giants start Matt Barkley after Daniel Jones injury. I personally would hold off a little bit. I know I would have Tommy DeVito start a game. Who are the Giants starting? Let's see. The Cowboys. Yeah. I don't know who you start that. It feels like a loss guaranteed to happen, but anything could happen. But still. Then they have the Commanders, then the Patriots, and then they have the bye week. And I think they also need to get a quarterback off the practice squad, or that's Barkley. But now Jones going to go on IR done for the season. Same with Tyrod Taylor. He's done for the season. Let's see how many guys are in IR. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16 guys on IR. Not good. Not good at all. You're the Jets, of course. We're now second at the moment in the AFC East following the Bills' loss to the Bengals last night on Sunday Night Football. The Chargers, then the Raiders, they could win both of those games. In fact, the Raiders game is going to be on Sunday Night Football next week. They didn't flex it. And then they're going to be against the Bills in Buffalo. And then you have the Black Friday game where they host the Dolphins. And you have the game where they host the Falcons. Okay, that's a loss. Or win or loss. They could win that. Loss, win. They could go either way, honestly. Dolphins in Miami, I think that's a loss. Commanders, they get to host. That can be a win or a loss. The Browns on Thursday Night Football. It can go either way, and the Patriots. That's going to probably be a win, but it's also in New England, so who really knows? As for the Chargers, AFC West, Chiefs are already running away with it, and the season is halfway over. Okay, you have the Jets, and then you have the Lions. Okay, that could that feels like a loss, even though they're hosting. Packers can go either way. Ravens feels like a loss. That game I can honestly see getting pushed back, like getting flexed if the Chargers underperform by then. If like they still have like 3 or even 4 wins, I can see them flexing that game out. Sorry, my dog is barking in the background if you can hear him. Week 15, they're against the Raiders. Now, I know that I don't want to upset Zennie or anyone here, but I don't think the Raiders are going to make the playoffs. And I don't know if the Chargers will either. So I think Week 15, they could flex this. Okay, you have some games that I could see being okay. This one feels like it could be a flex up. This one, and maybe one of these two, I think, could really be one of the 3 games they choose. So assuming they do that, they could maybe do Buccaneers Packers as a Thursday game. They could also do Jets Dolphins. Titans Texans could be pretty interesting. I feel like someone's going to keep Cowboys Bills or Eagles. Like, whichever one isn't protected, I could see getting put there instead. That seems like something that could happen. And then the Bills, that's going to be the game on Peacock. And then finally, the Broncos in Denver, which can honestly go either way. And then the Chiefs, that feels like a Chiefs win, even though it's in SoFi. Yeah, 2 teams that could maybe make the playoffs or maybe not. Who really knows? Okay, Zennie's coming, in case anyone's curious. Zennie's going to be coming very shortly. So that is the current state of affairs for the Chargers and the Jets. Let's see their injury updates. NFL inactives tonight. Let's look here at Pro Football. Let's see there. Who are the NFL inactives? Sure, don't get copyright striked. Let's see. Chargers designated out Joshua Palmer, Isaiah Spiller, Jalen Hawkins, Elijah Dotson, Zach Bailey, and Scott Matlock. While the Jets designated out Chaz Surratt, Dwayne Brown, Randall Cobb, Carl Lawson, Dennis Kelly, Jason Brownlee, Adriel Apanana, and Jared Bernard Converse. Palmer's the only offensive starter given the injury designation. The defensive lineman Sebastian Joseph Day, linebackers Kenneth Murray. Miss Joseph Day was added to the injury report for the first time on Saturday. Chargers wide receiver Jalen Gutson and defensive Audio Agbania as questionable to make their season debuts. Both players on the PUP list as they recover from their injuries and have yet to be elevated to the 53-man roster by next week. Jets plays 2 offensive linemen, Connor McGovern and Wes Schweitzer, injured reserve. Connor McGovern. Let's check him. Just want to remember. Yes, that's right. He was on. Why did I say that Connor McGovern? Oh no, there's 2 different There's 2 different linemen named Connor McGovern. I was thinking of the one for the Cowboys, but there is in fact another Connor McGovern who played with the Broncos and now has been with the Jets. Sorry. It's where you have 2 guys named Connor McGovern that both play the same sport, and they are both linemen, which is really, really interesting. The one on the Bills is from Pennsylvania. The one on the Jets is from North Dakota. And I don't know if they're related. I didn't even, let's see. McGovern. It's crazy. Not good for the Jets. Dealt with a lot of center issues. My dad's also home. Just looking at some stuff right now. Also, these are the projected starters. I'm going to show that. Okay. Chargers, of course, Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnson, Gerald Everett, Rashawn Slater, Zion Johnson, Will Clapp, Jamari Slater. Zennie just came in. No, sorry, that's Bill Carroll. Hey, Bill.
Hello there. How are we doing, sir?
Doing good. I'm just showing people the projected starters for today, and before I just showed them who's on the injury report and who will not play today's game.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, Morgan Fox, Talking Johnson, Messengers of Day, Eric Kendricks, Glomack, and just kind of the same.
Morgan Fox is a fascinating story from the RMAC conference from CSU Pueblo, and his future goal when his NFL career is over is to be a professional wrestler.
I think of Morgan Cox. I usually think of the same Morgan Cox.
Oh, Morgan I'm sorry. I thought you said Morgan Fox.
No, I said Morgan Cox.
Oh, never mind then.
More Morgan Fox. Morgan Fox.
Morgan Fox. Then it is the right person. Yes, he is a graduate of Colorado State University at Pueblo, and his future goal is to be a professional wrestler. We're talking about Morgan Fox. That's the right person then.
Yes, not the long snapper. I'm referring to the defensive end. 56.
From CSU Pueblo.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with him. Written about him quite a bit during his college career.
Mm-hmm.
Two-time All-Conference while he was at CSU Pueblo.
That's Zennie. Hey, Zennie.
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
Hello.
Fine. Just showing the we're just showing the starters for this game.
Oh, awesome. I forgot I set it up so that you all can start before me. I'm so happy I was smart enough to do that because it overcomes the fact when the times when I'm too stupid to get my act together. That's not true.
Zennie, you're cool, Zennie. Don't say that to yourself. You're a lot smarter than what you say you are.
I'm a big fat loser. I just wear the L.
That's well. I'll say this much: you, I don't know what you said to the Vikings, and even without their starter, the Pastronaut, as his nickname now is apparently is going to stick. Joshua Dobbs, of course, the aeronautical engineering major from Tennessee, who's actually had an internship with NASA, and NASA, of course, tweeted out a congratulations to him.
Nice. I missed that.
He looked amazing considering he had never had a single practice with the starters.
That's wild, man. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
He didn't know their nomenclature. So what would happen is that Coach O'Connell was in his headset and would tell him the description of the play because he didn't know their nomenclature. He hadn't learned their what they called things. And he said that he never worked with a player with his kind of recall before because he never had to tell him the same thing twice.
Crazy.
Wow.
He was incredible in that game. And granted, it did help that the Falcons defense for a lot of the game felt like they were allowing him to run all over the place. But Dobbs, especially considering where he was just not even a week prior starting for the Cardinals.
Right. A week ago, he's playing for another football team. Yes.
It's just unbelievable. Honestly, I know it's early and I know this is just his first game with the Vikings, but seeing how he's been for most of this season and especially this week, I think the Vikings are a playoff team with him. I definitely do.
I agree. I completely agree. The thing about it, though, is that the whole thing calls into question coaching. and what NFL people are doing or not doing, because he came into the situation. He obviously had a skill set that the Cardinals took for granted, and he came into that offense. He was effective. It also, I would think, not knowing the nomenclature of O'Connell. Although I think if it's based on anything like what Bill Belichick does at New England, because I believe he's a Patriot disciple. Bill, you can help me out with that. Maybe
It's
Vinny.
it's a mix of things. What he does, because he spent also a lot of time with what's his name, the Wunderkind out in Los Angeles. He spent a lot of time with McVay. So he spent time with McVay. He spent time with the LaFleur brothers. So you talk about a ludicrous staff, right? Go back and look at that staff in Washington, where, of course, the head coach is Jay Gruden, but the assistants, assistants are McVay.
Yep.
Both of the LaFleurs.
Yep.
The aforementioned Kevin O'Connell, and there's one left. Kyle Shanahan are all in the same staff. But yes, he's taken a bit from what he's taken from his time with the Patriots, a bit from his time with McVay. Obviously, a lot of the running game concepts are extremely McVay-esque, not surprisingly. And even some of the play action stuff off of that is very McVay-esque. And then he's kept some of that sort of Earhart deep passing attack stuff, though they junked a lot of that for this game just because the timing can't possibly be there for deep for most deep shots. I mean, they took a couple of deep shots, but they were ones that didn't depend on timing. Once we could sort of see the guy break open, they go ahead and took shots at some of those. But like deep fades and things like that, you have to know the receivers. Literally, he was learning guys' names. So it's just a wild situation.
The thing about it, though, is that as I think about it, unless you're using an exotically different formation set, it's kind of logical that if you've been around the league for a little bit, you're not going to get much differentiation offense to offense, even with nomenclature. I mean, because basically, I was thinking about this just earlier today, having nothing to do with what Josh Jobs did, but just the old Oakland Raiders when Ken Stabler was quarterbacking, and a favorite play of Ken Stabler's was called 94 corner. It was east far right, 94 corner, number 10 swing, or 10 swing, or what we call 10. Now, you could take what I just described to you is actually Brown right, and then you just keep the same. You could say post flank Brown right, split in post, halfback flat. Okay, same thing, but it does the same thing. So if I know the play does that, then what it's called is less important to me if I'm able to figure out that they're the same things, right? In other words, 10 swing is the same as a flat. 94 corner. Well, actually, I should have said 90. I should have said corner. It wasn't slide. It wasn't post. 94 was actually post. 94 is your corner route. They had a corner, the split in corner, flanker post combination is what it was. And the split in was was lining up slightly inside of the normal split in pattern of place in the formation, running an ungodly 18 yards downfield before he broke to the corner. That was the Raiders.
Yes, well, because they like stretching you.
So, yeah.
So the nomenclature is based around a combination. It can be traced all the way back to like Kubiak, who of course is off of the Shanahan dad tree. So Gruden and Kubiak have fairly similar nomenclature. And so one of the plays that they ran effectively yesterday was one that's called 11, unless it's in 12 personnel, that's 12. North, right, clamp, F counter, 20, jet, X, stick space.
Now, Bill, catch me up on one thing. what is 12 personnel? Because I never.
So
I have my way of let me explain.
Yeah.
My way of thinking of personnel
okay.
is quite literally based on formation. For example, if it like, I'll give you an example of how I came up thinking.
Okay.
Tom Landry had a formation was called Jayhawk. Now, in Cowboys language, if I call Jayhawk package, that means I've got two. That means I'm going to play two tight ends, one side with the one of the tight ends, generally Jay Saudi, as wing. That's why they called it Jayhawk. It was actually specially designed for him. All right,
Yeah.
that goes back to 1978. Right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So my thinking regarding packages isn't as I don't want to say simplistic, but I'll just say it as saying, "Oh, this is 12 personnel." Because so, what is 12 personnel for viewers?
Yeah. So some people call it ace. Some will call it tiger.
Ace,
But
okay, it'll be double tight end, right?
Right. One back, two tight ends. Correct.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, you see the difference?
Right. And once again, that's part of the difference in nomenclature, right? So what one person calls tiger, another person calls ace, and some of them just use the number. But what they are doing essentially is they are trying to get the middle linebacker or the player that's playing in the place of the middle linebacker, if they're a nickel, to overreact to the route the Z is running, so that they can hold him and then run something, behind him or in front of him, depending upon on where they're trying to hold him, and how much time they may have to get the ball out. And like I said, I know we've said it. I just want to say it once more. Josh, I mean, it's sort of like what happened with Tampa and Baker, not Tampa, but the Rams. Sorry, the Rams and Baker Mayfield. Except at least Baker got a couple of practices in with the ones because they knew he was going to be the starter.
Yes.
So the difference is at least he actually practiced with the starters. Dobbs had zero squadoosh started reps with the starters.
He was ready to play, but he was there as like the emergency backup, if anything, because
he was the emergency, right? But all of his reps have been with guys who weren't starters because they were trying to.
I'm going to say this. Sorry for interrupting. I got to say this. I'm going to say this because it's sticking out there, but I'm going to say it because it should be said. This has to forever destroy the myth regarding black quarterbacks. Period.
Well, I mean, a man with a 3.94 GPA and aeronautical physics should have destroyed that by itself.
Oh,
he graduated with the highest of honors and got a NASA.
But Bill, the people who come up with this garbage aren't intelligent enough to appreciate that he has a 3.9 GPA because many of them didn't even go to college. Okay.
That's true. Many of them didn't.
All right.
Sure.
So I mean, all right. So we have to spell it out for them. Okay.
Right. The man is taking classes in quantum mechanics, people. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you.
I can't even think about that. The fact that he's able to do it, he's a smart kid. He's a smart kid.
Yeah, that's putting it a little mildly. So,
but also he's in an offense that. Okay, so here's my other question for both of you. Yeah. Now that that's put to rest for him, what about the fact that he was in an offense that he just took to like a duck takes to water?
Well, I think it's two things. One is, and this goes back to my whole thing about guys, sometimes simpler is better. They got rid of about 75% of their offense and ran about 25% of their offense. And guess what? It works. So you don't need all of your offense. I've always said this, and Gruden is the perfect example. John Gruden, in the last version of his offense, had 220 plays. Why? Who needs 220 plays?
You don't need that many. You don't need many, especially if the team during his tenure was kind of at best.
Well, see, I'll push back on that, and here's the reason why I feel that you do, because there will be situations where you feel like you didn't plan on this happening. I'm going to take this off that. I don't know who has that, if you don't mind, but I'm going to go here if that's okay. But you didn't plan for this to happen, okay?
Sure.
And they're presenting a defense. Well, here's an example. Let's say that you're going ace, right? And let's say that You've got this game plan centered around your running back running off tackle, and occasionally play action, and occasionally an end around. All right. And hey, look, your opponent's not really ready for that. Just to say, okay. So they go in at halftime and they pull out, which really is the logical answer to what you're doing, which is a damn wide tackle 6 with, putting the pressure on you because you're going to do all that movement back there. They think we're going to put the kibosh on you regardless of where you go. And this is not too different than how one would attack the Wildcat. And remember how I think it was Mike Shula.
Well, it's mostly Tony Sperano.
No, it wasn't. No, if I may, it wasn't Mike Shula. It wasn't. It was the Ravens actually. They used the wide tackle 6 to kill that. That was a long time ago. But my point is, so you go in at halftime, you think, how are we going to counter that? And so the best answer is to have, I've got a repertoire of plays out of 4x1. That'll really screw them up. Mainly because you just want to goose them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then, I'm saying repertoire, including orbit motion, bubble screens. You get the idea.
Definitely.
But guys, a lot of people don't have that. But see, you've got 200 plays. So you've got that knife. You got that knife in your Swiss Army knife to that jackknife to pull out, right? And so that's why that's me. And I see a lot of advantage in that also because you think, and I used to think this, and this goes back to Lindy Infantani when he was the coach of the Bengals, and he got up before the press, and somebody at the press got a hold of this diagram, which in retrospect was nonsensical, but it had every receiver that was eligible running an option route, 4 different ones. And it looked neat if you were not appropriately acquitted with what they were doing. But if you thought, hey, look, you can't possibly get those options right. This goes back to, let me put these things in their right framework, okay? This goes way back to the 80s. Way back, all right?
Well, before that even, because you're just describing run and shoot. Run and shoot gives 4 option routes to your eligible receivers practically every play.
There's a difference, though. What I'm saying about Lindy, okay, and here's the thing. Don't be so quick to gaslight what I'm saying.
I'm not gaslighting. I'm saying that's run and shoot.
Hear me out. What Lindy Infantani did with the Bengals wasn't run and shoot.
No, Lindy Infante was definitely not run and shoot. I'm just saying
But my point is, again, that he put up a lot of different options there. If you think about them and you take a look at them, there were examples where the receivers can run into each other. All right. But there were examples where the option routes were not properly thought out, and the timing was bad because you never actually practiced the scenario where one option be activated over the other. Okay. And so that's why a lot of teams went away from, I'm not talking about what Miles Davis did either, but I'm talking about the idea of using multiple directions to go within a play, in effect, folding 10 plays into one, which is like having basically 10 different plays. Right now, the run and shoot is completely different. The reason why the run and shoot is completely different is because of the type of option. For example, if you're following the rules in run and shoot, you've got to give a hand signal to the quarterback to tell the quarterback what you're going to do before you do it. And it's up to the quarterback will either nod or not. If the quarterback nods, he's going to do it, then you do that. Okay. My point is the organization of who does what is determined pre-snap in the run and shoot on the fly. So you don't have the kind of confusion that was invited in the diagram that Lindy Infantani presented. That's what I'm trying to say. And I'm also
aware of that.
And well, it's not a matter that you are or not. I'm not saying it's not a contest. We're just talking. We're just talking.
Right.
And my point is,
it's Infante. It's just like infant with an E.
Oh, thank you.
I know.
Right. Thank you. Okay. So my point is that you've got you've got a situation where you're saying, okay, how do I deal with these defenses? And you want these different ways to attack it because you don't want to get into a situation where you're giving options thinking that your player is going to get it. Because more often than not, if it's too much in one play, and I think actually Washington football team, then what was called Redskins, coach made this point, Joe Gibbs. He said, you don't want to give the players too much to think about because they on the fly because they make a mistake, right? So that's what I'm trying to get at, And so I mean, it's different philosophies. Right. You guys see it as fewer is better. I think more is.
I wouldn't say fewer is better. I'm saying that you can only master so many things, right? The old Bruce Lee line: "I don't fear a man who knows 10,000 kicks. I fear a man who's practiced one kick 10,000 times." You can only master so many things. You can't master two. You can't even practice them. You can't even practice 200 plays. Practice time is very limited now in the NFL. You can practice probably really to the point that players know them about, I would say, between 88 and maybe 106, 107.
I disagree. And here's why I disagree with it. I disagree simply because I can have toss 32. Yeah, I'll take it. Well, one of my favorite plays out of blue formation. Blue right, 32 halfback dive or fullback dive, excuse me, 32 fullback dive, okay? But I don't have to do that out of blue formation. I could say brown left,
brown or
right,
red or
right. It's the same
red,
play.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So I can actually practice that one, concept right there, and then run it out of as many as 10 different formations. But it looks like 10 different plays, right?
Right. That's the Mike McDaniel's philosophy. And so what he does is instead of having 220 plays, he has about 70 something with 3 or 4 different tags. Right. So he does it right. But I'm saying that's not what Gruden was doing. Gruden should have probably been doing that.
Though, John was doing a little bit of that because if you have the copy of the Bill Walsh playbook and it's expanded version by there's a bunch of them. I've got Sean Payton's. Anyway. My whole point is they all do that, but it's a matter of length, right? And it allows it's flexible, so that what they want to have is if some guy comes along at the NFL annual meeting and happens to have this wild-haired idea based on a request that he made, you want to be able to put that in your playbook. And the reason why I know is because that guy is me. And the guy I'm talking about that took it was John Gruden, okay? And that was in 2018 in Orlando. And they put it in their playbook. And then it got spread around the league. And now I'm mad because I didn't get any money from it. So anyway.
It happens. But I should say this, okay? The game is about to start. Forget about debates, amount of plays, whatever. Regardless of how many plays you think is good enough, the Vikings won. Josh Dobbs is a hero for this week. Now let's see what he could do the rest of the way. I think we should
focus now that he knows everybody's name.
Now that he knows everyone's name, I'll say this. I think the Minnesota Vikings with Josh Dobbs is going to lead them to the playoffs. I really do. And this might be another bold take. I still think the Lions could still win, but I would not be shocked if Josh Dobbs leads them to a division title. It's a little bold. Wouldn't rule it out, but hey, the Week 18 game is going to be Vikings at Lions in Detroit.
Game, yeah.
Don't be shocked if that's one of the 3 games they flex into a primetime fashion, whether that's a playoff season or the division. Like, come on. Like, that just screams major game all around.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's a big game anyway. It's a huge rivalry game. And if indeed they manage to win essentially 2 out of every 3 games from this point forward, they'll be right in the thick of it. I just think that the Lions just have a little more talent and are likely to be the team that's better set up to win it. But if indeed the Vikings revive their running game, and part of what Josh Dobbs did with the ability to run and force a defense to be simpler, there are certain defenses just take out, like 2-man. You can't play 2-man anymore, right? That's part of why they look so bad. they were going to play on a lot of two-man because they knew that Cousins wasn't going to be a threat to beat him, moving around. And, Jaron Hall is a guy who is obviously a pretty good athlete, was a baseball player as well as a football player at BYU, has a smaller player, like smaller in terms of, not very tall, but thick in the lower, sort of Russell Wilson-esque kind of build, slightly taller, but not much taller, and down to the baseball background. But Jaron Hall was a guy that was I would say, a willing runner. And then Josh Dobbs is a very smart runner. He's not, well, I guess everything he does is smart. But you saw him, just.
Hey, you hear that? He's gone.
You saw him realize.
Touchdown, right?
No, I don't have the game on right now.
Yeah. Touchdown.
Yeah, that's a pick six. Yeah, which is sort of Zach Wilson's thing.
Oh my God, the Chargers got it.
Yes.
Zach. I picked the Chargers to win this game, but I wouldn't be super shocked.
Oh wait, no. Yeah, but here's the thing about Josh. They build their offense like they sort of did this time. I mean, obviously they wanted to simplify some things as much as they did this week around the things he does well, and just basically sit down and say, what plays do you feel comfortable running? Which plays do you like? And don't try to fit a round peg in a square hole. They could go on a bit of a run. Their defense needs to keep playing at that level too, which is they've been good most of the year, but had gotten gashed a couple of times. And if they are able to revive, like I said, a running game that's been somewhat moribund this year, they have a shot at it. Cold weather games and outdoor games will require you to have some ability to run the football, because they do play obviously in what they used to call the old black and blue division, and they play a good number of outdoor late season games.
Yeah. But also going with the Vikings, the reason why I see them as also a playoff team is because you look at the teams in the NFC right now. You have the Eagles, who are the class of the NFC. Then you have like the Cowboys, the Niners, maybe the Lions you can throw in there as like that next point. And then you have the teams that come next. Like you have the Seahawks, who got destroyed against the Ravens. I guess you could say the Saints, but and I guess you got to throw the Vikings there, but you look at the NFC and, whoever wins that division of the South could win like 8, 9, 10 games and win the division.
Yep.
I don't know how sold I am in the Seahawks. I mean, Geno Smith definitely has regressed a little bit. Their defense was not great this week, but I still feel like they could be a playoff team. And the Vikings have just been on a roll lately with Dobbs. But then you look in the hunt, the Commanders, maybe whoever finishes second in the South. Like, how do you see the wild cards being right now, Bill?
Yeah, that's a really fun question, because so much of it is still up in the air. I think that we get two teams out of the East, obviously, right? I mean, you get the Eagles and the Cowboys I think, are pretty much locks.
Oh, basically, yeah.
And I still think the Saints come out of the South, and then we've got. I think Detroit makes it probably as the champion of the division. And I agree, the Vikings could be in there as a wild card team.
But then there's 3 wild cards, so
right, I know. So now we're looking out west, and I mean, could the 49ers right the ship? I don't see why they couldn't right the ship and be a wild card team. I don't think they're going to overtake the Seahawks. They're obviously dealing with a lot of key injuries and things like that, but I think they're going to get some of those guys back. Not all of them. Some of those guys are done for the year, but they're going to get enough of those guys back down the stretch, and they're a tough-minded team. They're not going anywhere. I think they're going to still be a playoff.
Yeah, the Seahawks, I think, even though they had a bad week, I still think they'll be good. I think the teams you have now are going to be the teams you have at the end of the season. Eagles, Lions, Niners, Saints, Seahawks, Cowboys, Vikings, in whatever order. And what about the AFC? I should mention the AFC.
Is anyone surprised the Saints are the number 1 team in the NFC South? I am.
It was my preseason prediction, so no. It was my obviously not. No. I was on your show when I told you they were.
I think I had them eventually taking it, but I thought it was going to be between them and the Falcons. The Falcons have just
their offensive scheme is terrible.
Well, yeah. Well, there's a lot of this. The Falcons, they lack attention to detail in their execution. Their blocking is such that zone blocking, they're not in unison. I hesitate to say too much. It's not too much. There's only a couple of things wrong. That's one of the big things. But the other big thing is that their passing depth is out of sync with their past drops for the quarterback.
Extremely.
I've said that again and 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 again.
Falcons are very badly coached. I would not be shocked, even though it may seem a bit bold, but if you look at the people in Atlanta, they want Arthur Smith gone. They want him shipped just like a FedEx package out of there.
Yeah. He's the drum beat has been pretty loud.
Don't I know it because I've got 92.9 the game on out here all the time,
right.
and that's all Mike Bell and his colleagues talk about is, well, gee, I thought this is going to be the day. Well, this is going to be the day. But they have to be careful because, of course, they are the Falcon station, right? So you have to walk somewhat of a thin line, but not so much that you put up with, a bad performance all the time.
Right.
Yeah, that was a game this week. And the Vikings got to give credit to them. They played their heart out, but the Falcons should have easily won this game. They should have easily won this game, but they just didn't. The defense fell apart at very key points, and the offense, especially in the passing game, couldn't get it good. The running game also couldn't really get it together.
That's what I was about to say. That the surprise, no one expected them to be some sort of aerial circus. Everyone thought this was going to be I thought it'd be maybe the number one team in the league in terms of at least running attempts. And I thought they'd be in the top 5 or 6.
They haven't utilized Robinson at all, really. Like, they have not utilized him correct. This is a guy that could be in the running for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
But here's the problem with it, Vinny, is that they've got Cordell Patterson, Tyler Algiers, and Bijan Robinson. It's not like they have him by himself. And so, as offensive coordinator, you got to figure out how you distribute the ball between Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algiers, Cordell Patterson, who was a beast. And then you've got Mr. Tall wide receiver / tight end who doesn't get the ball anywhere near as much as he should. Kyle Pitts.
Right. And then you have Drake London, who's almost the same size, who is a wide receiver.
He was out this week.
Yeah,
right. He's out this week,
and they just brought in Mr. Jenkins, I believe, a wide receiver too, who's a speedster. So my point is, in a properly designed system, a true West Coast system, like I hate to say it, like Bill Walsh would run, everybody would get their touches.
Sure,
and everyone would get their touches. But the Falcons don't run that way. They don't have a lot of plays. Okay, you can tell. That's the first thing. A. B. The plays they have don't offer. They offer the option deep, and it's maybe 1 or 2 receivers deep. In other words, they may try, and Shanahan does some of this, where you've got the tight end running deep and the flanker running under the tight end, something like that. That's it, or some combination of that. You don't have anything where the back, you have it sometime, but not entirely. If you have the back as an outlet, it is the classic flare outlet that's been used since the 1950s.
Yeah. Thank you for Paul Brown for that.
Yeah.
Marion Motley used to run that to perfection. Here's the thing that I keep noticing. They don't have a lot of flood or spacing concepts that you see in almost everybody else's offense. No. Hey, you don't have to think of these things. Just steal them. Just steal the ideas. They're right there in front of you when you watch other teams on tape.
Actually, they do have those. I've seen them. Here's the problem, okay? They don't have enough of them.
Right. But I'm saying
they have 3 plays that have that.
Right.
Okay.
And as I'm saying, but you don't have to invent them. You watch tape of other teams, just steal the ideas.
But they don't. It's like Arthur Smith. It's like Arthur Smith just and the offensive scheme, just the offensive coaches just fail to really adapt with what other teams are doing. And the Falcons, them and the Saints have very easy schedules this year. But it feels like, especially with the Falcons, they have really missed a lot of these opportunities. Also with Kyle Pitts, like I remember during the game in London against the Jaguars, where they had like that Toy Story game.
I remember that. Yeah.
Did you see the meme online? It's like, hey kids, it's Kyle Pitts, and then it's the scene in Toy Story 2 where Woody's on like the dusty shelf. You see Wheezy, and Wheezy is Kyle Pitts, and he's all dusty and barely touched. That's Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts, Wheezy.
That's funny.
It's now talking about the AFC. talk about the NFC. The AFC at the moment, thanks to the Bengals win, if the season were to end today, we would get something that has never happened before, gentlemen.
Correct.
A division in which all their teams qualify for the playoffs.
Yep.
The AFC North, you have the Ravens is the 2 seed, and all the wild cards, the Steelers, Browns, and Bengals.
Everyone else is tied. Yep.
Okay, so is it time to say Ravens for the Super Bowl?
I don't know about
look good.
Super Bowl, but the
They look
Ravens are
good.
going to be one of the final 4 teams standing, I believe. I thought that all along. I told people that if they were sleeping on the Ravens. The Ravens have, and they're still learning that offense, right? There's still things they're working out, but when they really start clicking at all cylinders on offense, woo! And now they're finally getting Keaton Mitchell working, right? I've been telling people about Keaton Mitchell for a while since days of East Carolina, and while he's not quite CJ2K, he's kind of close. He's got that Tony Dorsett kind of open field speed. He just pulls away from people. He's rarely, if ever, caught from behind unless you have one heck of an ankle. And he's a little undersized, about 188 pounds, but he's a guy you should find a way to get somewhere between 6 and 12 touches per game. And if you do that, you will get 100+ scrimmage yards out of him. If you divide those between, crack and tunnel screens and, toss sweeps and even some draws. But he's tougher than you think for a guy his size. But my gosh, if he gets a step, he makes someone miss, it's just wave goodbye.
I want to give a quick shout out to these women on the Cleveland Browns field here. They have really helped to revolutionize women in the NFL, and they're at the NFL Women's Forum. This is on the 25th of October.
Nice.
And they've all redefined the game in some kind of way. And I don't have enough time but I will take the time to talk about them more later. But as a really awesome group talking about you all here, just want to give them a quick shout out. Thank you all very much, ladies, for all you do in the officiating, in flag football, and all aspects of the National Football League moving forward. Bravo, 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 bravo. All right.
Yep.
So, yeah. So, but Bill, you're absolutely right. But also, here's my question regarding the subject is, and this gets back to who we were talking about, who would go where. Who's going to win? What do you think about the rejuvenated Raiders possibly going to the Super Bowl?
I mean, you mean this year?
What other year do I mean?
I'm just making sure because I wanted maybe someone to see if your pupils were dilating. I don't think this year is the year. You have quite a set of pupils on you, though. I don't think this year is their year. I think this year is a sort of reset. Thank God they sort of moved on from all the things sort of holding this team back and holding this team down. There's a lot of things this team needs, but you could start seeing this team move in the right direction. I mean, making the playoffs is going to be tough to even pull off this year. The Super Bowl is something you want to sort of build towards, but like the Lions a couple of years ago, you can see that this is the move that might be putting them in that right direction, right? When they moved on, and people made fun, obviously, of Jason Campbell and the knee biting or whatever. But whether we on the outside may have laughed at, the players bought into it. The players, and I know you're not a big fan of the meathead, rah whatever, but it's clearly working.
Not at all.
And I know it's not your thing, but it's clearly working, and that team has turned around. Also, they have, unlike the Raiders, drafted well, and that's really where the secret sauce will be if this team's going to be a Super Bowl contender.
Well, I mean, let me amend that though, Bill. It's not that I'm not a fan of rah-rah. I'm a fan of Raider rah-rah.
Oh, okay.
Raiders. Okay. I'm afraid of Raider rah-rah.
Okay, got it.
I'm not a fan of I'm not a fan of the mafia rah-rah that Dan Campbell brings to the table. I'm not. It's like, I don't know. Now it's the crying thing. He was going to do it Monday Night Football. We played the Raiders. What? Oh, come on. Did one of the production assistants put eye drops in your eyes so you would make fake tears before the cameras?
You're doing a broadcast news thing here. I don't think Vinny's old enough to get the reference.
I know broadcast news pretty well, actually. I know that because the wife of one of the professors I had back in college was the basis of the main character in there.
Yeah. Well, it helped to launch the career of Holly
You
Hunter.
mean Holly
and of course,
Hunter?
it helped to launch the career of Holly Hunter, and of course, had a great performance from the late great William Hurt.
Indeed.
Wait! Time out, Vinny. Say that one more time.
I said the character that Holly Hunter is based off of, the real person's husband was my professor.
You still know him?
I haven't spoke to him in a while, but yeah, his name
You
was.
think you get his wife on the show?
Like, I was gonna say, like, her name, I forget her name, but she was ahead of like 48 hours on CBS for a long time. She was one of the producers there.
Hold on a second. 48 hours.
Broadcast news.
CBS producer.
It's Susan Zirinsky. That's who it is. Susan Zirinsky.
Okay.
Joseph Perrinan. That's who my professor was. Joe Perrinan. He's
Get her on the show. That'd be great. Get her on the show. That'd be huge.
I love that. And Joe Perrinan. He was my professor. I loved him. He was great.
All right. Hey man, get him on the show.
I would love that if it's possible.
I mean, do you all realize, and I say this publicly, that all of you should have IMDb pages? I have one. I have to update it to include this. The reason why I say that is because this is a credit. All of you are executive producers here. Do you realize that?
Yeah.
So burnish your credentials, right? Brush up your Shakespeare.
Start quoting him now. But
yeah, exactly.
I do have an IMDb page, and if you look hard, you'll find. Let me see. What was it? What was that show called? Final Appeal, hosted by Robert Stack. Let's see. Many years ago.
You were in it?
Yeah, kind of, sort of.
You play a bartender?
No, well, I mean, you know, I'm
Nothing wrong with that. That'd be cool if you did. Hey, I poured that drink.
I'm somebody in one of the, like, there's a car that pulls up. There's a shootout, and I'm in like the car behind the car that's in the shootout. And I'm later being questioned by the police.
The typical role for a black guy. Doggone it.
It happens.
Oh, come on.
Early edition. I had like a couple. I was a barista one time in remember Early Edition? For those who remember Early Edition, Saturday in Chicago.
You sure do. Yeah.
I was a bar back in one of the scenes on a show called Cupid that was on very briefly, also shot here in Chicago. So Cupid comes back to Earth in human form, played by Jeremy Piven. And my friend Danny Bryant told me to come and audition for it. Shout out to Danny Bryant, wherever you are, Danny. And I played a bar back in one of this. Yeah, I mean, I was a professional actor for a little while. So yeah, I've got an IMDb page. Yes.
How do I make my own IMDb page of myself?
Say it again, Vinny.
How do I make an IMDb page of myself?
You know what? I'll set you up and I'll send it to you in the interest of time.
Sounds perfect.
Yes, in the interest of time. Yes.
No, because you should have one. I mean, and it'll give you a different look at what you're doing. It'll give you a different appreciation for what's happening.
I've got some radio stuff up there. I was Scrooge in a production of the radio play of Christmas Carol. I directed a play about the life.
That I could see. I could see that.
I directed.
I could see that.
You could. Let me guess, because you can see him as a very bah humbug kind of guy.
No, I can. I didn't say that. I can say. I just said I could see him as Scrooge.
Yeah.
I mean, he's always got the tie.
I directed
the actuarial language.
There you go. I directed a radio play about the life of Scott Joplin.
Wow.
Yeah. I've got a few radio credits and some television, not much in the way of movies, like two very teeny tiny parts in movies. One of which I actually had lines, but they got cut out, which seems to happen to me a lot. But I had a couple of lines in The Negotiator, got cut out, and I had a couple of lines in Love Jones, also got cut out. But that's my film career in a nutshell.
I would love to get like a be part of the the SAG after, but it's during. I would love that if it's possible. But
It's completely
I wanna
possible.
see I want to enroll us, but I want to see how the strike shakes out first. All right.
oh, did you hear the
Sure.
news? The studios listed their final offer, and they still couldn't come to agreement. So there's some
Yeah, that was
reports. That
Friday. They made the final offer. They're still negotiating, right?
yeah, but then they're also saying that they aren't like they're at this point. I don't know if we're going to have movies in 2024 for most of it because we're even TV. We're probably going to see more game shows. I know that David Spade has his own game show, and some other people do.
Wow.
Right. Will, what's his name, has a couple. Will
Arnett.
Will Arnett has a couple.
He has the
game
Lego
shows.
game show.
Right.
That's pretty fun.
Right. Wayne Brady has a couple.
Yes, Wayne Brady does, of course.
Yeah. He was in Life. The father on Blackish. He's also got
Hey, Kyler Murray starting Sunday.
Anthony Anderson.
Yes,
That's
Anthony Anderson. Right, a couple games.
He's
Yeah,
great.
I know. I already picked him up in fantasy on the teams where I needed quarterbacks because you always got to pick him up a week early before the rush. So yeah, I picked him up a week early.
Hey, so take us out, folks, so we can go and watch this game.
Yep. I'll give you guys a couple things to look out for in the upcoming week. Demario Douglas, who is slowly but surely beginning to emerge as a speed threat, which the Patriots have not had for a while. Watch for him to start to get a couple of get some chemistry going with Michael McCorkle-Jones. Get a couple of deep shots to him. If you're in a deep fantasy league and you need a flex, you might want to think about picking up Demario Douglas. Let's see what else to leave you with. I think that we're going. Like I said, I think that we have not seen the last of Joshua Dobbs. I mean, whatever happens,
he's going to be starting this next week.
Well, I mean even beyond, like, obviously the Vikings will have decisions to make. There'll be a marketplace for Mr. Dobbs. I'm letting you know. So if they decide not to hold on to him, they will be able to move him and get something back. They may consider holding on to him because, of course, we don't know exactly what the medical prognosis. I mean, obviously, you hope everything goes well, but sometimes there's a setback. So we'll see what happens. But Joshua Dobbs will be playing in the NFL for somebody, not just this year, but next year.
Dobbs is going to have to be a starter. I can definitely tell you this. There are some teams that have quarterbacks right now as their main starter who would much rather have Josh Dobbs as their starter.
I mean, if you got Tommy DeVito staring you down the you're probably wishing you had Joshua Dobbs around that.
Oh
time.
no, I'd rather have Josh Dobbs than Daniel Jones. like Josh Dobbs has been great. Josh Dobbs has been better than Tannehill this year. I think he's been better than Kenny Pickett this year. I think Josh Dobbs this season has been on the top half of quarterbacks this season, especially considering the circumstances that he's been dealt with. Like that Cardinals team, a lot of people wrote him out, but it took several weeks for him to finally throw an interception for the Cardinals. And, hey, he kept them in games with the Cardinals. And now Kyler Murray's coming back for them. I have no idea if they plan on making are they trying to make a playoff run with Murray? Like, I don't know what their whole strategy is. But either way, I'm very happy for Josh Dobbs. He's smart kid, good dude. He loves seeing journeymen like that have their big break and go off. Seriously.
Yeah, yep. I mean, he was 86.6 QBR in that game.
He's the top of this week. Top performance this week. Josh Dobbs.
Yeah.
Not bad at all.
No, not bad
at all.
But do you want to know who had the worst? Clayton Tune, his replacement, had a 1.6 QBR. 1.6.
That is extraordinary. It's hard to.
That is also a bad tune.
Yes, there it is. Out of tune. Exactly.
Yeah, very out of tune. The entire offense, the entire defense, the entire.
But can you name that tune?
Everything. No, I already named the tune. The tune is.
I can name that tune in 1.6 QBRs.
I can also name that tune.
I can name that tune in one sentence.
I can name it in 0. The amount of points that they scored that game against the Browns, a Browns team that they're just encroaching. They're just monstrous on them. And poor Clayton Tune.
That was the worst possible matchup for him. That defensive front is ravenous, and you tell them you're getting essentially third string quarterback. Yeah, they were ready to go for that one.
They made that, and they played their hearts out, seriously. And for also, in case anyone was curious about Tommy DeVito, last week they didn't even register his QBR. That's how bad it was. This week it's like 3, I think, like 3 or something like that. Not 3 out of like 5, just 3.
Yes, right. I got you.
That's funny.
Yeah,
that is hilarious.
It's not as funny as Daniel Jones being out for the season with a torn ACL. So you have Jones, who had that. They gave them the huge contract.
He's getting $35 million guaranteed next year. Yeah, $35 million guaranteed next year.
And Tyrod, he broke his ribs, so he's done for the season. Right. And now they have Tommy DeVito, and if they don't have him, they have Matt Barkley. Yes, Matt Barkley, Zenny, is still playing, and
unbelievable. I heard that the other night. I was like, "Oh, you're kidding me!"
I promise you, as soon as they get Matt Barkley up to speed, he will be the starter. You do not
want to see Tommy DeVito start a week, just for the hell.
Oh, you're about to. I mean, so get your what's the old line? Get your popcorn ready, and of course your air sickness bag right next to it. But yes, you're going to have an interesting week there in New York.
Yeah.
Thoughts and prayers to the people of the greater New York area.
Thanks. Also, why is no one signing Carson Wentz? I'm sure he's better than Tommy DeVito.
Because he's injury prone.
It's true.
He's injury prone as all get out.
That's true. But
he started that basically as soon as he hit the field in the NFL. I remember preseason, the guy's reckless.
His ribs, like he cracked his ribs, right?
He hurt his ribs, like I think this third game of preseason.
Yeah, like
mildly.
You got like a hairline fracture.
That was the beginning of the end. And I was not a fan of his to begin with because I thought they were propping him up too high, too quick.
You did.
And I thought, oh, give me a break, okay?
Well,
he did have a very good beginning to his career, but it's not sustainable for several reasons. And you could see how quickly his performance degraded based on, I think, 2 things. One, as you said, just the physical pounding he took because he was always slow in terms of processing getting the ball out. And they did things to try to simplify it for him, did things to try to get the ball out faster. And it can only help him so much. He's just a guy who's a slower processor. He came from a very run-dominant offense. He did. So he had all day off play action when he was at North Dakota State University. They were pounding people to death in the run game, and he would drop back, take shots off play action, and have all day. It's not that way in the NFL. Guys aren't as wide open. Everything happens faster. And I'm as big a proponent of small school players as you ever find. But he was essentially in a perfect situation. They had a talent advantage in virtually every game they ever played in, particularly on the offensive line. And so they just wailed on people on the line of scrimmage. And he rarely, if ever, really had to win games on his arm. They would just basically run. He made a few, big throws at big times. I'm not taking that away from him. And yes, won a national championship. But when you look at the talent disparity against most of the teams they faced, they were just able to out-talent a lot of those teams. And that doesn't happen once you get to the NFL. So Carson Wentz is a guy that maybe somebody will kick the tires on if he's willing to, play ball price-wise. He's going to be playing for about a fifth of what he played for the last time he played, though. I mean, he's going to take a massive pay cut.
He's probably going to be for the XFL, USFL at best. That's his best opportunity at this point. I'm throwing him because he's the most likely name. As much as I love Matt Ryan, I know he's not going to play anymore. No, don't lie. I absolutely adore the man. Nick Foles, I don't think he's playing. I think he's done. I also think Colt McCoy. I mean, someone can sign him. The Giants can get him back.
Yeah, that might be somebody to make a call to.
I could see him.
Sure.
Who else could they go for? I mean, I didn't even know Matt Barkley was even playing anymore. Maybe they can get Kyle Sloter. Is Kyle Sloter available?
Well, he's not signed to anybody, so yes, he's available.
Is Josh Rosen available? Remember
Josh Rosen is incredibly available. He's probably playing pickleball right now as we speak. But yes, he's very much available.
What happened with Josh Rosen? Like
we don't have time in this particular show, but I promise you, if you want to do a deep dive into what did and did not happen to the quote unquote Rosen one, I'll be more than happy to take you through the entire thing from the time he's about 13, 14 years old up until today.
That'd be a good show. We should do that.
Yeah. What day do you want to do that? No, I'm dead serious.
Let's figure that out. We got to close out. We're already over an hour.
We are.
Yeah. All right. Hey, everybody. We'll see ya.
Oh, wait. One more thing before we go.
No. We gotta cut it.
Okay.
Make a vlog out of that. One more thing. We gotta cut it. You gotta be on time. I gotta be. Folks, subscribe to Zennie. Hey, everybody, point with me. 1, 2, 3. Subscribe. Come on, point with me, guys.
Subscribe,
and
guys.
Like
and subscribe. Zennie62 Media and follow
come on, Bill. See that finger.
I'm trying to figure out where my there it is. There we go.
No,
like
no.
and
Up.
There we go. Like and subscribe.
No, move over a little bit.
You got
move over a little bit,
point
Bill.
right to the camera. You know where it is.
Point at your own face, Bill. Like you're trying to hit yourself in the face. There you go.
Yeah,
subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Hey, don't go. All right.